Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and we are here today to finish the last book of Bushido, Way of the Samurai, which is book 11. And let's jump into this, finish it off here. The first section is Do not turn your back on the enemy. A samurai general said, You need not test the back of the armor by officers. Only test the front. No decorations on armor are necessary, but you must examine and choose good helmets, which may eventually fall into the enemy's hands with your hands. And essentially, he's saying, you know, the mention there that there's no need to have good backs on armor. You know, a true samurai does not turn and run. They will face their enemy face to face. And then the little comment at the end there, the helmets may fall into the hands of the enemy with your hands. Or with our heads. Essentially beheading the head that's still in the helmet. And it's just part saying we're going to face them face to face, and whoever wins more or less gets the right to take the enemy's head. The next section is Do not learn strategy. Lord Shigekata once said, There will be no learning strategy for my offspring. In the heat of battle, you cannot really suppress any sense of discretion you may have cultivated. If you have discretion, you cannot break through the enemy. It is important, therefore, in the time of before the month of the tiger, i.e., of war, that you be utterly indiscreet. With discretion, you fall prey to suspicious misgivings and will have much difficulty in making a definitive decision. Our offspring should not learn strategy. This I kind of disagree with. He's trying to indicate that strategy is meant for quiet planning. And all strategy really means is how you intend to tackle the battlefield. And he's saying if you do quiet planning like this, you have a reason for less people to trust you. I disagree on it, but next section is some hints for arguing. Some hints for arguing. First, disarm your opponent by saying, You are quite right. Then let your opponent speak fully. Wait for him to make a slip of the tongue, then take advantage by catching him in his words. So more or less it's actual full-on reasonable debates instead of, just trying to yell over each other, as for some reason the American discourse has become. If you let a person speak and, hear them out, you can, if you remember and follow it, you can slowly pick apart their argument. And that's all it's saying. Next section is on victory. One or two items in a verbatim note on swordsmanship. While having your skin cut your opponent's bones. No indiscretion, then no victory. So essentially, don't hold back. They attack you, you attack harder. Next section is how to win in the long run. If you are promoted too quickly with a salary increase, every colleague, out of jealousy, will become your enemy. This is no good. If you rise too slowly, then every colleague, out of pity, will become your friend. Then, the many friends will guarantee your future success. After all, if no one is dissatisfied with your raise, rather whether quick or slow, then you are in no danger. Good fortune that others want you to enjoy is your genuine and long-lived reward. So I kind of get the feeling he's saying you shouldn't push for success and demand it too early. Just follow through and do what's needed. And you will instead gain the respect of many people instead of their envy, their dislike. So, next section is success and failure. It is said, small mistakes do not spoil great accomplishment. As long as you are delicate yourself wholeheartedly to the Lord's service, it does not matter what you do outside of clan affairs. You can have your own way and do mischief if you must. On the other hand, those who are apparently faultless in every way often look very ugly. More often than not, they miss the important point. Only those who have made some mistakes can also accomplish great works. If you have great principles, your small faults can easily be justified. In other words, keep your eye on the big picture. Don't worry about the small things. They can be accepted as long as you accomplish the big picture goals. Next section is die every morning in advance. The realization of certain death ought to be renewed every morning. Every morning you must prepare yourself for every kind of death. With composure of mind, think of yourself as shattered by bows, guns, spears, swords, as carried away by great billows of water, as running into a great fire, as struck by thunder and lightning, as shaken by severe earthquake, as diving from a cliff, as a disease-filled corpse, as an accidental death corpse. An elder of the house said, once you once you go out from under the eaves, you are in the midst of death. Once you go out the gate, you come across enemies. Yeah, enemies. This is not mere precaution, but the experiencing of death in advance. And essentially, they're just saying, prepare yourself for it, because you must be ready if it does come. Next section is to be taciturn. I think that's right, not taciturn. Yeah, it's taciturn. The highest achievement of talking is not to talk. If you decide to debate with no swords, you may even find you can do without any speech. You had best speak no more than you have to, and say as few words as possible, and in good order, too. It so happens that you fall into disgrace when you speak recklessly and, by chance, reveal your shame. So that can kind of be summed up. Use your words wisely. Think before you speak. You know, you only need to really express, that speech after you understand what it is you want to display forward. Next section is social appearance. There are those who look bright at first sight, even if they accomplish something big. People take it as a matter of course, and when they accomplish something others can do, then people will think of their accomplishment as unsatisfactory or less than expected. On the other hand, if those who look calm and meek should express themselves in little better than mediocre work, people will praise them for it. So he's saying, if you are intended to be intelligent and bright and all this, if you do something great, yeah, you will be liked for it. But if you accomplish something that others can do, they just kind of go, eh, eh. But if it seems like you are just that kind of not openly high up there, and you don't try to be, I guess, a braggart or anything, and you just show, you're calm, you're kind of quiet and everything, then even doing mediocre tasks sometimes will get you appreciation. Next section is a story concerning family honor. A samurai passed Hachinui in post town in Saga, the capital of Heizan. Suddenly, he was attacked by diarrhea. He ran into a tenement house on a side street and asked for a lavatory. As it happened, there was only a young wife in the house. She told him that the lavatory was at the back. Then he took off his hakama trousers and started for the toilet. At that very moment, the husband returned home and accused him of adultery. Eventually, the matter was brought before the court. The two were sentenced to death. Lord Nashige, hearing of the incident, judged as follows. Even if this is not a case of a liaison, it is still the same. For not only did the samurai inadvertently take off his akama in the presence of a young woman who was alone, but the woman also allowed him to take it off in the absence of her husband. So it's pretty self explanatory. You know, this woman is alone and the guy is stripped down, even though it's because he's wanting to get it off so he can get to the lavatory, the toilets, and take care of his problem. But, you know, because he couldn't wait until he went to the lavatory, um, it made it seem much worse than it actually was. And, now Shige is kind of saying, it also should have been on the woman. Please wait until you get into the lavatory to take your hakama off, your trousers. So, and that'll bring us to the final section on governing. It is very likely that people misunderstand that to govern the under heaven state is a big problem and beyond their power. The officer of the ministers at the shogunate and those of the chief retainers of the present clan are no more difficult than I have explained here in this mountain hermitage. You can rule the whole nation on the basis of my talk. I have some misgivings about our clansmen in office now. They have made no studies of the clan. They carry out their offices only as their natural gifted ability dictates. So every subject who crawls under the authority, i.e., flatters them, is frightened and says yes all the time. Consequently, the elders and superiors become obsessed with self interest and self conceit. And he's just kind of saying, unfortunately, only those who actually rule truly understand how difficult it is. Because even those who are underneath the rulers, your cabinet, your advisors, whoever, they just say yes. Yes, you're great. Yes, you're right. Of course. Without giving actual feedback sometimes, especially if they're those who have been there longer and they're just self-interested. And then the other pages, we've got footnotes, glossary, index, and that's Bushido, the way of a samurai. So we have finally finished that book. As always, educate thyself. Think, read, study, learn. Someone tries to tell you something you have difficulty believing, ask them to provide the evidence. We should, you know, ask people to, show their work. Show your sources. Cite your sources. There's what I was looking for. I couldn't remember the term. But yeah, we should always ask for cited sources. I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, later.